Hello and howdy, everybody. It is your boy, Keith Cork, and I am here to take you through the Saturday slate here that's going to be locking in about 30 minutes. And a four-game slate. I'm excited about that, man. 4 games today. It's going to be a fun one. If you guys do have any comments or anything you'd like to see, addressed here, please do. I almost put myself on a timeout there. There we go. Please do ask me in the chat, and I will go ahead and answer that for you, whether it's capping a game, player props, DFS, fantasy, season-long fantasy, playoff fantasy, whatever your format is, just let me know as much details as you can, please, and I will answer that question. But yeah, 4 games today. I'm excited about that. Obviously, 4, 5, 6 games, kind of the sweet spot for DFS for me. So I'm liking it, man. I'm loving it. Let's just jump right into it. Philadelphia and Brooklyn is going to be kicking us off here. I want to take a look at the lines and where they've been moving, but I know the game total in this one is particularly small. It was 208.5 last I checked. Let's see what it's at now. But yeah, obviously Embiid being out, there's a lot of news here for that, and a lot of people that we need to look at for that reason. So we will cover that here in a minute. I do have a list of guys, but let me just go ahead. So we do have a 2.5 point, looks like spread in favor of the Sixers. That's actually tilted a little bit more towards the Sixers, it looks like. Because I know it was 2 on DraftKings yesterday, so I'm looking at DraftKings for this. Started as a +6 and 6-point spread in favor of the Sixers. Went to 2, and now it's at 2.5, so climbing a little bit in the Sixers direction, which makes sense. I mean, I think the Sixers still have to be pretty heavy favorites here. I think the Sixers are just trying to steal one without Embiid in the lineup. Absolutely doable. I think Harden is playing, of course. But yeah, Tyrese Maxey. DraftKings 6,400. Absolutely love him there. 7,000 on FanDuel. Love him there too. I think he's a guy that you have to get in your lineups here. He is obviously the number 2 for this Sixers team at this point. Harden just not getting it done, man. He is just showing his age. I do expect him to have a pretty good game here. I think you can go to him. He's 8-6 on DraftKings. And yeah, 8-6. And on FanDuel, he is 8-7. I like him more in FanDuel probably, but I think he is definitely more of a pivot actually, which is surprising because you think that he's the star player on the Sixers next to Joel Embiid, but really it's been Maxey. So Maxey's the almost absolute lock here for me. I mean, he is a lock for me. I just don't think there's any way that Maxey doesn't have less than 20 real life points here. He's just a very gifted scorer. You're just hoping that he also produces those assists. Maybe a steal or 2, and some rebounds. Of course, he'll get the minutes, so he should produce 3, 4, 5 rebounds, I would hope. So Maxey is definitely a lock for me. Other guys I'm looking at in that Philadelphia squad with Embiid. I already mentioned Harden, obviously, is a kind of a pivot there. If you don't go with Maxey, I don't think I would stack Maxey and Harden. I think that's pretty risky. That's a lot of salary to go ahead and dump on a team in a game that has a total currently of 210. Looks like it did tick up a little bit. It was opened at 208, and it's ticked up a little bit to 210. So, people are obviously playing the over here. I think it probably does go over that 208 initial mark, but not by much. This has been a pretty low scoring series, so not the most attractive DFS. I wouldn't stack it too hard, is what I'm trying to say. D'Anthony Melton, obviously, is another guy I'm looking at on the Philadelphia side, 3,900. Not necessarily because Joel Embiid's out, just because that price tag just doesn't make sense. It's just too low. But obviously, the other guy I'm looking at is Tobias Harris at 5,900 on DraftKings. And on FanDuel, he's 6,600. I like him a lot more on DraftKings, obviously. But yeah, he has had a great series. I mean, I don't think there's been a single game where he's had a bad one. Well, the last one was only 25.75, but at 5,900, that's really not that bad. 42 DK points in the game before that, and 35 in the game before that. And, he's kind of a slept-on guy. I mean, I think a lot of people will be rostering him on this DFS slate. It's only 4 games, of course. But he is a guy that has been a primary scorer, for a basketball team, an NBA team before. So I think Tobias Harris and Maxey is the way I go there with those two guys with Embiid out. On the Brooklyn side, Mikal Bridges always got to be in the player pool, 7,700 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he is 8,200. I mean, I just think it's fair pricing. Doesn't really jump out to me as like great pricing. Doesn't, is not bad at all. You're still getting an elite guy at slightly less than the elite salaries of some other guys. So absolutely think Mikal Bridges is on the table here. But the big guy that gets a boost here without Joel Embiid in the lineup is Nicholas Claxton. And definitely on DraftKings, where it's 5,500 for him to roster him. That's absolutely somewhere I'm going to. He's just been killing it this season up until this series. And he's had he's had a rough time against Joel Embiid, which is understandable. Joel Embiid's probably going to win the MVP, guys. Like, he is a talented basketball player. So with him out of the lineup, I'm expecting bigger things from Nicholas Claxton. And, before the playoffs started, we were seeing, regularly 30 to 40 DK points from this guy. And I think he's going to end up somewhere in that range, 30 to 45 DK points, somewhere in that range. At 5,500, it just makes total sense. You're hoping you get maybe 35 to 45. If you get 30, it's not going to sink you at all. So I think, Nicholas Claxton for me is a lock. Absolutely a lock on the slate. So I'm locking Maxey. I'm locking Claxton. I think you can stack Tobias Harris. That's pretty much what I feel like in that game. Again, the low game total. So I'm locking two guys. I feel a little iffy about Tobias Harris because of that, because I don't want to stack in a game total that's only 210. It's a little bit worrisome, but I think it's fine. I think if you play three of these guys, that's fine. Okay, moving on. And I don't really like anyone else on the Brooklyn side. I would have said Seth Curry, but he didn't even play in the last game. I just don't even know what they're going to do here. Try to pull out a win. I mean, I think, there's a good chance they stay in this game. It's only a 2-point spread. But I just, Cam Johnson, I'm sure will be a popular play again. I just don't know if I can go there. It's just I've already too much exposure in this game. Don't necessarily want to stack up another guy. All right, Phoenix and Clippers is the next game at 2:30 Central here. Just to kind of take a look at that spread and where it's at now, it is currently 7.5 points in favor of the Suns. And let's see, it opened at 5 points. That's where I grabbed it in favor of the Suns. I believe I'm on that. And then it's ticked up to 7.5 points in favor of the Suns. Steam's rolling on the Suns here. Makes sense. No Kawhi Leonard, of course. That's the big news here. Don't want to bury the lead there. So yeah, no Kawhi Leonard. No Paul George, of course. Everyone else is pretty much healthy. Campaign questionable. I'm assuming he doesn't play. He hasn't played all series. Why mess with a good thing? I mean, Devin Booker's been running the backup point guard for him and been doing wonderful. So I don't see any reason why they rush Cam Payne back into the lineup here. So yeah, I mean, just to kind of briefly hit on this, I mean, let's see the game total actually. Let's go take a look at that real quick. If I can find it, there we go. Total is at currently 227, opened at 226.5, ticked down at first, and then ticked back up to 227. Definitely a good game total there. And of course, with backups, the Clippers are going to keep this closer than people think. I think if I was going to play something here with the spread, it would be Clippers plus 7.5. I'm not playing it personally, so I'm not suggesting that play, but like that, I do feel like this is going to be a closer game than most anticipate. Just like the last one was. I almost middled. I had Suns 2.5, and I almost middled at Clippers plus 7.5 because I told people, hey, you're sleeping on the depth of this Clippers team, the intelligence of Ty Lue. And what we saw down the stretch there of that game was, Ty Lue ended up going small against the Suns lineup, and that was successful because Kevin Durant's been struggling a bit with making quick decisions with the basketball, and because they just don't go to DeAndre Ayton. They just won't use him. So if they're going to do that again, I really have some interest here in the Clippers backcourt, sans Kawhi. And, I mentioned all these guys on the podcast. So if you guys listen there, good ups to you. Obviously, Russell Westbrook has to be someone you consider. He's not someone I'm locking in at this point in time. It's just he's so volatile. He just had like a big game. I mean, there's no reasoning behind he's going to have a good game and then a bad game. Like there's no, it's not like a let's do this and do that kind of thing. But I just feel like he's going to have a rough one here. So if that does happen, maybe it is not necessarily as close as the spread's letting on there. But Norm Powell, 6,500 is also going to be a popular play. I think his ownership is going to be through the roof. So that's why I'm not playing him. I think he's a fine play. Wouldn't blame you at all for playing him. Powell on FanDuel at 7,000, still a fine play. I don't think it's an issue at all. I think it's just going to be he's going to be so highly owned. That's why I'm not playing him. I'm actually pivoting off of him. I'm looking more at guys like Eric Gordon at 4,800 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's 4,800 as well. And so I love him on FanDuel. FanDuel is always a little bit more expensive, so he's actually kind of a little bit more of a bargain on FanDuel. But yeah, I think he's a guy that could absolutely go off, and they're going to need scoring from somewhere. So he's one guy I'm looking at. Terrence Mann is another guy you can absolutely consider, 4,300 on DraftKings, and on FanDuel he's 4,200. He's not a guy that has a lot of usage on offense when he's in the game though, so I'm not like necessarily chopping at the bit to play Terrence Mann. But some other guys I am looking at though on the Clippers. The one guy I'm looking at very heavily is Bones Highland, 4,000. I mean, he shot the ball really well last game, and I don't think you can absolutely count on that and expect that. But at the same time, they're going to need that scoring. He's got that ability. He's playing really well alongside this Clippers team and in the role that he's been given. They need him to step up. I mean, if they're going to hope to win this game and pull one out and get Kawhi back, hopefully healthy for the next one or whatever, they're going to have somebody step up besides just Norm Powell. I mean, Norm Powell had almost 40 points in that last game, and they still lost. I mean, pretty convincingly. It wasn't really ever that close. I mean, I know the score ended up somewhat close, but it wasn't really that close. So I'm looking for a guy like Bones Highland to step up. I'm looking for a guy like Eric Gordon to step up. One of these guys has to. And this is a pretty much a do or die situation. If they don't get this one without Kawhi, I really don't think they have a very good chance of winning this series. So actually, Norm Powell had over 40 points last game. He had 42 actual real life points in the last game, and they still lost. So someone else has to do that. One guy I'm fading, again, they're playing, so I'm not playing Zubac. I think it's not a good smart move here. Plumlee, same thing. I think you're going to see more minutes of that small ball lineup here as they try to disrupt the Suns on the perimeter, get some steals, get some hands in the passing lane, get up transition, get up threes. It's just something, that's just what they're going to have to do. So I'm not playing the big guys here on the Clippers. All right, let's move on, though. We have a couple more games to cover here. If you guys are just tuning in, looks like our numbers are growing there, so perfect. Hit us with a question if you have one. Hit the like and subscribe button, please, so you do get notified every time we go live, which is going to be all through the postseason here and into next season. Milwaukee and Miami is the next game. Let's take a look here at the spread. We do have a spread currently at 5 points in favor of the Bucks, of course. Even without, I think so. If you're going to ask me on this, slate, which stars are playing, which stars are not playing, based on what we've seen in the shoot-arounds and the practices leading up to this game, I think John Morant plays. I really do. So let me just go ahead and say that. Maybe it's a bombshell for you guys. I don't know. But John Morant plays. I think Giannis does not play. And of course, Embiid does not play. He's already been ruled out. But I think Giannis is going to be out. That's my feeling in this one. He was at shoot-around. Didn't get up any shots. The media wasn't in for shoot-around, so I couldn't see. But all I saw was him stretching out and then going to the team bus afterwards. Not a whole lot of information to take away from that. But just based on what he's been doing in practices up until now, I just think he's not going to play. So I'm going into this game with that mindset. And if that is the mindset on the Bucks, I mean, you absolutely have to look at Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez, especially on DraftKings, where they're just 6,600, 6,300, basically the same price as they were the last slate. And they both had pretty good games. Brook Lopez, a little bit underwhelming in the last one, honestly. So I'm looking for a little bit more from Mr. Brolo. But Bobby Portis was absolute gold, of course. I think you can stack both those guys. On FanDuel, Brook Lopez is 7,800. Not super feeling that, honestly. Portis is 7,400. I think, FanDuel, I might fade both. I really don't know if you can. I think it's fine. I mean, it's not a bad play. But I think there's other guys around that, same price mark that I'd rather have. So I'm not necessarily playing them on FanDuel. But on DraftKings, I think they're absolute golden plays. I think you have to get them in there. Another guy that I mentioned on the pod, Grayson Allen, 4,600. There's going to be more shots to go around without Giannis. So I'm assuming he's going to get a few more threes and hoping that he hits those for us. I'm not super into this game. Let's see. The total is at 220. It's open at 218.5, ticked up a little bit, ticked down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit. It's kind of evening out around 219.5, 220. So, it's not the best game on the slate in terms of projected game total, which, I don't think we can take 100% stock in that, but we do have to weigh that, and I think it's important. So I'm not like super into this game at this moment. I really don't know. I think Miami does, make a run here. to stay in this game. I think Milwaukee just has too much firepower, though. I mean, I don't see Miami, especially without Tyler Hero. I don't see them sticking in it offensively. They have really bad periods of time where they just cannot score. So it's going to be a rough one. It could end up being a blowout. So that's one thing that does kind of make me a little wary. But if it is a blowout, it's going to be a blowout in favor of the Bucks. So I'd be looking at the Bucks side for sure. Heat side, I'm really not interested in a whole lot. There are a couple guys, though, that I think are really good plays, blowout or not. And I think, Max Strus 4,900 on DraftKings is definitely one of those guys. I mean, Max Strus is going to hit some threes. 4,600 on FanDuel. He's even better over there. I've got him on both sides right now. He's going to shoot a lot of threes. Is he going to hit them? There's always variance with that. So, he didn't hit him last game, didn't have necessarily a great game. He went 1 of 4 from the field in 31 minutes. That's an anomaly. I mean, he only had 5 shot attempts in the game before that too. And I think if the Heat are going to win this game, they're going to have to lean into the guys that can score offense for them. And so they're going to have to lean into Max Strus. Another guy I'm looking at is Victor Oladipo. And I mentioned him on the last slate, and he did pretty well. I mean, 22.75 DK points in 26 minutes. That's another guy that I think you absolutely have to consider because of their just dire need for offense. And 4,400 on FanDuel, not loving that. Probably not a play on FanDuel, but on DraftKings where he's 3,600, I think he's definitely in play. Not a lock by any means, but I think he's a fine play. So those are kind of my thoughts on that game. Again, I think it's going to kind of roll in favor of the Bucks here. I don't see the Heat without Hero. I know they won the last game if I recall correctly. I'm like going crazy. No, I think they lost actually. No, they lost. I'm sorry, 122 to 138. So they lost in that last game, but I think they make it a little bit more competitive here. We'll see about that. I mean, I think they have to lean into it. I don't know. It's tough read. All right. Last game here is the Suns and the Clippers. No, I'm sorry. We were talking about that. The Memphis Grizzlies and the Los Angeles Lakers. And let's just take a look at what the spread sits at there. It's currently sitting at 4.5 in favor of the Lakers and open at 5 in favor of the Lakers. So climb towards the Grizzlies quite a bit, and then it's kind of come back towards the Lakers a bit. I do lean Lakers here. I do think John Morant tries to play. I don't know if it's going to be a plus for the Grizzlies. I hate to say that. Like I don't actually think the Grizzlies are better without John Morant, but I just think he's going to be injured. He's going to be dealing with that hand injury. Guys are going to be thinking, when a guy comes back into the lineup, a lot of times those role players think, oh, you know what? I can kind of relax a little bit because we got John now. And so John's going to kind of, take over and carry us. And so they kind of relax a little bit. And so you get a little bit of an underwhelming performance sometimes from other players. Obviously, we have that Dylan Brooks stuff in the news also where, he was talking about LeBron being old and not, not necessarily being able to drop 40 on his head. I'm not playing LeBron James. I'll just go ahead and say that right now. I think a lot of people will. I think it's going to be a popular play. But for me, I think, if I'm playing in GPPs, single entry GPPs like I'm playing, I don't want that ownership. I want a guy that's going to be lesser owned, that's has a similar or higher ceiling. And so that's Anthony Davis. I mean, especially on DraftKings, where he's 9,700 and LeBron is 9,800. I think it's a very smart play to go Anthony Davis over a LeBron James. That's going to get a lot of public guys, rostering him. Guys that are just kind of following the playoffs and just want to plug in, the guy that they think is going to do the best. So LeBron James at 11,000 on FanDuel and Anthony Davis 11,800. You have a little bit more of a case, I think, for LeBron James there because of the price difference. But I'm still going with Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis is the play here. He did struggle in that last one. Absolutely. He's got those injury concerns always. He might go back to the locker room for 5 minutes in this game. It seems to always happen, but he scored 61.5 and 57.75 DK points in the first 2 games. And that kind of ceiling is it's hard to ignore. 67.9, 58 FanDuel points is the equivalent there. And see, and the last one was kind of a floor game. He still got 41.3 FanDuel points and 38.25 DK points. I mean, especially in DK is only 9,700. I feel like, even a floor game is not going to kill you from Anthony Davis. LeBron, yeah, he's probably gonna score some points. He's probably gonna get you some assists. Hit some threes. Block steals. That's all on the table. He's a fine play. I just feel like there's also those times where his shot's not dropping, and he finds ways to contribute in other ways. I mean, I think LeBron is the GOAT of this generation. The GOAT overall, of course not. I got another guy, but I think it's a dumb debate. But anyways, LeBron is the GOAT of this generation. He will find ways to contribute and to win this basketball game. So I think he's a fine play. But I'm going Anthony Davis. Other guys I'm looking at in the Lakers. I am looking at D'Angelo Russell. I think 5,700 is just too cheap. 37 points in that game 2. I think that's kind of the ceiling there, right? And I think that's a fair ceiling for 5,700. Absolutely. Since he's joined the Lakers, he's had pretty solid and pretty consistently solid good games, ending in the high 30s, low 40s. So I'm kind of taking the two kind of duds he's had in this one, the 18.75 and 21.25, as kind of anomalies. I know he's kind of a feast or famine type of player in general, so take that with a grain of salt. But I do like D'Lo here at 5,700, absolutely. Just trying to look here real quick to see if we have any breaking news. I don't see anything that's going to be earth-shattering. Of course, these games are all staggered, so probably not going to have a lot of breaking stuff, guys. So, but yeah, for the Lakers, D'Lo, obviously. I am also looking at Jared Vanderbilt. If we're assuming Ja plays, he's going to be the guy on Ja. He's 3,900. So I think he's a smart play as well, because he'll be on the floor to run around and chase Ja Morant. So I think it'd be smart especially a large field GPP to go with Jared Vanderbilt, and he'll probably get 24, 25 minutes. Hopefully grab some rebounds and hopefully score. That's a big one. If he can score, 8 to 10 points, you're really cooking. If he hit that double, you're really cooking there. He had 8 and 7 in the last one. The odds of him getting a double are lower than one might imagine, even though he gets all those minutes. But it is possible. He could hit that double for you, but also the blocks and steals will be there. So that's good too. The last guy I'm going to mention here on the Lakers, I know I had one more. Let me just see here. Oh, yeah, Mo Bamba. I mentioned this in the pod too. I think, they had such a struggle guarding Xavier Tillman in the post last game. I think, it is something that's a weakness of this Lakers team, and everyone knows it. I mean, they went out and got Mo Bamba for a purpose, right? And he's a shot blocker. He's a three-point shooter. He profiles as a good DFS player. He is absolutely a shot in the dark. I would not rush from outside of very large field GPPs because he could absolutely not get in the rotation. He's been out of the rotation for quite a while now. But I think if the Lakers are going to change something with what they're doing against Xavier Tillman, he's really the only guy on the roster that I feel like gives them what they need to do to try to shut him down, quote unquote. Maybe Wenyen Gabriel at 3,000, but I would lean more Mo Bamba. So on the Memphis side, as I said, I think Ja Morant plays. I think Giannis does not play. That's my thoughts there, just based on what we've seen in practices and the shoot-arounds leading up to the game. But if Ja Morant plays, 9,400 on DK, that's a good play. I don't think that's a bad play at all. Obviously, you're running a risk of him not playing. 10-4 on FanDuel, a little bit more of a risk, obviously, but I still like it. I think as long as his ownership's gonna be low. It's gonna be low because people are gonna be so worried about, is he gonna play his full minutes? Is he gonna look good out there? Is he gonna be able to shoot the basketball with his hand? If he's playing in general, and NBA players play, they're good enough to go out there and do everything they need to do in a basketball game. So you can rest assured if he's playing, you can slip him into your lineup. So I think, he's a good play over there. I'm not super into any of it. I'm fading Dillon Brooks. I feel like Dillon Brooks is going to be in foul trouble early. the reffing crew. If you follow me on Twitter, which is here, let me take this off here. My Twitter handle is right there. Hit me on Twitter. I retweeted Candace, who is a very smart person, Memphis Grizzlies fan. The refs that are reffing this game are not kind to the Grizzlies. This matchup between Dillon Brooks and LeBron James is going to be under a microscope every time they match up. And LeBron James, of course, gets the benefit of the doubt for a lot of calls, which as he should. I mean, I feel like that's a smart thing for the league to do. So I'm expecting Dillon Brooks to get in foul trouble. So I really don't think you can roster Dillon Brooks. I think it's a very contrarian play. He's going to have very low ownership as well. I think a lot of people are on that narrative. So take that for what it's worth, but I'm not personally rostering him. I know Jamie mentioned Luke Kennard at 5,000 on DK. I think on FanDuel, he's an even better price. He's 4,700. I think it's fine. 3-point shooting obviously is going to be there, going to be needed, especially if they get down, which I'm projecting for that to happen here. So I think that's a fine play as well. Again, I like Lakers here, so that's kind of it for what plays I like on this slate. At this point in time, I don't see any breaking news. Obviously, the biggest thing we're waiting on is the Ja Morant and the Giannis Antetokounmpo news. If you're just joining, I do believe that Ja Morant plays. I don't believe that Giannis does play. Just for reasons of what they did in practice leading up to. Are they taking contact in practice? Are they attending shoot around? What are they doing? What do they look like? What are reporters reporting? I'm getting the sense. And with the line movement also, that's another thing that you really need to follow. Line movement in Vegas. Vegas is the smartest one of us all. I promise you that. With the line movements that we're seeing, it looks like Ja's probably going to play. It's a little interesting because the line did move up towards the Grizzlies in the Lakers-Memphis matchup. Started at -5 in favor of the Lakers, went to -4, and now it's kind of bouncing back to -4.5. So that's a little bit of an interesting development there, but I do still think that Ja Morant plays. So that's kind of my thoughts there. If you guys do have any questions about, hey, player props you're looking at, or hey, I'm in the season long league with, it's a points league or whatever, hit me with that stuff, man. I'm here to answer for you guys. Be more than happy to do that. At this point in time, I'm kind of just looking at my lineup here, and as I'm talking to you guys, I'm realizing I'm just feeling a little bit more uncomfortable about stacking that Philly-Brooklyn game just because of the low point total and talking about how smart Vegas is. So I'm actually going to try to swap out Tobias Harris, who I spoke of earlier, and just swap in Vanderbilt. And I'm going to see if I can get me to Ja Morant, who is a very attractive price point again on DraftKings, 9,400. I feel like, that's hard to ignore. So that's what I'm doing right now as I'm talking to you guys. Again, no real news dropping just yet. Let me just take a look here again. Nothing really out there that's all too important. Let me see if Strus qualifies as a small forward, so that's perfect. The Strus is loose. If I take Strus out and put him in my small forward, that's why he's out there. And then Anthony Davis can go here. And again, Anthony Davis, I feel, is a fantastic play tonight and going to be low owned. Don't know if I can necessarily get to Ja Morant, so that's the bummer here, but I might be able to actually. Maxey, another guy that's just a lock for me. So if I'm going to give you my locks, I think for me the lock to be Maxey, Claxton, Bones. No, I'm not going to call Bones a lock. He's very nearly a lock for me. I'm not going to give him a lock. Anthony Davis, Maxey, and Claxton. Those are my three kind of locks and pillars, I guess you might call them. But outside of that, I mean, I think there's a lot of variety you can go with. Just trying to slip in Morant here and see what that gets me here. I can get to Cam Johnson, which is nice, but then that ends up I end up stacking that same game. Tobias Harris also I can still get, which is pretty funny. But maybe I just go back to Tobias. There you go. I end up upgrading from Oladipo. Let's see, Morant, Strus. Who did I end up upgrading? I signed up going to Morant. I guess that's I guess Depot to Morant, but I ended up getting rid of Kevin Durant, who I had in there. So it is what it is. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to go ahead and slip him in. There we go. Now I'm putting my money where my mouth is, guys. So you better go play John Morant. There you go. All right. So any questions, please do hit me. Please do hit that like and subscribe button. We are just a few minutes here from lock. It's not letting me save. So that's great. That's always great. I love it. It just logs me out and doesn't even tell me. Always fantastic, you know. But yeah, we will be bringing these shows to you guys, you know, through the playoffs here, up until lock. Every day that we can. There are some days that we've missed here. Of course, my lineup's live. Well, I didn't get to. Maybe I can still. No. Won't be able to probably. Oh, maybe I can. We're at lock, guys. I am going to give you guys kind of my Struce. Not a small forward. I'm going to give you guys some ownership details here in a minute. Who did I? That wasn't Struce. It was Highland. Boom. Just bear with me here while I try to make these swaps. Morant. See if we can get. Nope, can't get rid of Tobias, but that's okay. See if we can get Vanderbilt. What does that leave me with? No Durant. Get Struce. All right. Isn't this exciting? Exciting stuff. 4,300. I can get Terrence Mann. That's kind of interesting there. I have no Clippers. Let's go. Let's roll with it. See how it goes. All right. So I'm going with. You guys got to see the magic in real time. All right. Let's take a look at some of these values here that we've got. We've got Tyrese Maxey, 61.3% owned on FanDuel. Not surprising in the slightest. I think, that's in line with my expectations. Everyone's going to have him. Again, I thought James Harden was kind of the pivot, which is kind of strange. Nick Claxton, only 11.1% owned on FanDuel. I like that a lot. I do like that a lot. I think people slept on that. Hopefully that wins us some money if you guys were listening and you guys went with that. I really do like that a whole lot here. Let's see if I can look at DraftKings here. And I end up getting Tobias Harris in my lineup anyway, so we'll see. 50.8% owned for Tobias. That's kind of, I wish I would have gotten him out of my lineup in time. I end up with him anyways, no matter what I try to do, so it's fine. 71.4% for Maxey. Not surprising at all. 32% for Claxton. That's good. That's higher than I would have thought. Yeah, I wish it was like 20. But I like it on FanDuel where it's just 11%. I guess a lot of people probably went with who else would be a center over there? Probably, maybe people are getting some Ayton in there. I don't know. Maybe some Adebayo. Maybe they're getting Embiid. No, they're not getting Embiid. He's out. I don't know who they're going with on center. I guess I'll have to take a look. But that's going to do it for us, guys. That is our lineup block show. Please do follow me on Twitter. Hit the like and subscribe button when we're so you'll get notified when we go live. Please do leave me a review, a comment. Let me know you've listened and watched and what I can do better, what I can do worse. Hopefully I'll have some more guys on so that you guys don't have any dead air like you did there. So I apologize about that. But until next time, guys, go get that money.